Sigma males are often seen as being cold and unapproachable, and they are famous for ignoring women. Whether this is a defense mechanism or just their way of dealing with the opposite sex, it seems to work like a charm on most women. But what is the psychology behind this behavior? The Sigma male is an enigma. He's the silent type who doesn't talk much, but when he does say something, it carries a lot of weight. He is the loner of the social world, preferring to spend their time on their own or with a small group of friends. He's not the type to seek out companionship or approval from others. He's happy doing his own thing and doesn't need anyone else to validate his worth. This independent streak is part of what makes Sigma so attractive to women. The Sigma male's indifference towards women can also be interpreted as a form of flirting. While he may not be explicitly trying to attract their attention, his actions can still be interpreted as an invitation for them to pursue him. This is why they often find themselves being pursued by women even when they're not interested in them. While many people think that the Sigma male is simply playing hard to get, the reality is that he just doesn't care that much about what women think of him. He's not trying to be aloof or mysterious. This is simply who he is. They're not looking to impress anyone who is trying to fit into anyone's idea of what a man should be. This nonchalant attitude towards women often has the effect of making them more interested in him. His indifference piques their curiosity and makes them want to find out what he's all about. The challenge of winning his attention can be irresistible for some women. While people think that Sigma males do this on purpose, there are some reasons behind their psychology of ignoring women. 1. They don't want to be tied down. Sigma male is a free spirit who doesn't want to be tied down by anyone or anything. They're not looking for something that will constrict their freedom. They enjoy living life to the fullest and being around others with similar values, without any negative judgment or controlling behavior. This isn't to say that they're against relationships, but they're not going to be in one just for the sake of it. They want something that will add to their life, not take away from it. They're not going to waste their time on something they don't see is worth their time. Being in a relationship with a control freak or someone always demanding their attention is not going to be appealing to them. This doesn't mean they don't want a partner, but they want someone who will complement their lifestyle, not complicated, so they often prefer to ignore high maintenance or demanding women, saving them a lot of time and energy in the long run. 2. They're not impressed by fake princesses and queens. The Sigma man will not be impressed by a woman who is trying too hard to be something they're not. They can see through the facade and will not be fooled by it. They would much rather spend their time with someone genuine and authentic. If a woman is putting on a show or trying to act like she's better than she is, Sigma is likely to just ignore. This type of behavior is a huge turnoff for Sigma because they value honesty and transparency. They want to be with someone real and down to earth. The world is full of people trying to put on a false persona. From fake friends to gold diggers, the Sigma man has seen it all. They're not going to be taken in by someone trying to play games or take advantage of them. While some people might see this as being cold or standoffish, the Sigma male is just being wise. He is not interested in being around these types of people. Many fake princesses and queens are trying to appear perfect on the outside by wearing a lot of makeup, designer clothes, and expensive jewelry, but on the inside, they're often insecure and unhappy. While this look often impresses men, it's not going to impress the Sigma man. 3. They have trust issues. While Sigma males might not show it, they often have trust issues. They've probably been hurt in the past and won't let themselves be hurt again, so they often build up walls around themselves, making it difficult for people to break through. This doesn't mean that Sigma is a bad person. It just means they're very guarded, and they're not going to let just anyone into their life. They want to be sure that someone is worthy of their trust before they let them in. Many people see the Sigma man as being cold and distant, but the reality is, they just don't want to get hurt. They would rather keep their guard up than risk getting hurt emotionally. They're not going to let their guard down easily or be quick to give their heart away. When Sigma spot even the slightest hint of distrust, they quickly pull away and distance themselves. They prefer being alone to being with someone who always gives them suspicious signs. It's not that they're paranoid, they just don't want to take any chances when it comes to their heart. 4. They just want to be left alone. While some people might see this as being lonely or sad, Sigma males love their alone time. They're not interested in being around people all the time, and often feel drained after being around others for too long. They would much rather spend time by themselves, so they can recharge and rejuvenate. This doesn't mean that Sigma is a hermit. It just means that sometimes they prefer their own company. They're not going to force themselves to be around people if they're not in the mood. They often choose to ignore women who are constantly trying to get their attention. He is not going to be interested in a woman who is always clingy or needy. They need their space and want a comfortable woman to give them that space. While Sigma is often perceived as antisocial, the reality is they're just introverted. This is not to say they want to spend their lives alone, but it's just that they usually only invest time in the relationships they truly value. And because of this, they do tend to ignore women out of either a lack of interest or a lack of time. 5. They are too busy finding their purpose. Many Sigma men are still trying to figure out their purpose in life. They're not interested in settling down or following the traditional path. They want to find their own way and won't let anyone stop them. This can often be seen as being selfish or egotistical, but Sigmas just want to live their life on their own terms. They're not going to let anyone control them or tell them what to do. They often have a strong sense of self, and they're very independent. They don't need anyone to take care of them or tell them what to do. Sigmas are often risk takers and are not afraid of change. They're always looking for new adventures and are not scared to step out of their comfort zone. This can be seen as reckless, but Sigmas just don't want to live a boring and mundane life. Having a herd mentality is not something that interests them. Working on themselves could take all their time and attention, and they might not have any left for a partner. They're too busy trying to find their purpose and meaning in life to worry about settling down. They often ignore women because they're just not a priority for them at that moment. For Sigmas, knowing who they are and what they want is more important than anything else. 6. They hate the games women often play. Many Sigma men are tired of the games women play. They're not interested in mind games or playing it cool. They just want a woman who is straightforward and honest. Women often try to play hard to kids or act like they're not interested in order to increase their value. But this just doesn't work with Sigmas. They would rather just ignore a woman playing games than try to figure her out. They can read people well and see right through these games. Sigmas are often very direct and expect the same from women. They hate it when women beat around the bush or play coy. Of course, there are exceptions to every rule, but in general, Sigma men prefer women who are upfront and honest about their intentions. They're not interested in wasting their time on someone who is just going to play with their emotions. Trying to manipulate a Sigma is like trying to control the wind. It's just not going to happen. 7. They're not desperate and don't need validation from women. Sigma males are not the type of men who are desperate for attention or validation from women. They're not going to change their appearance or personality just to impress her. They're good enough just the way they are and don't need validation from anyone. Women often try to use their femininity as a way to control and manipulate men, but this doesn't work with Sigmas. They won't be swayed by a woman's beauty or sex appeal. While they may be attracted to a beautiful woman, they won't be blinded by her looks. They don't chase after women trying to win their approval. They know their own worth and don't base their self-esteem on other people's opinions. Instead of attention-seeking behavior, Sigmas often appear disinterested or even aloof. This is because they don't need validation from anyone to feel good about themselves. Many women mistake this for arrogance, but it's just confidence. 8. They are simply not interested in her. This is probably the most common reason why Sigma males ignore women. They're just not that into her. It's not that she's doing anything wrong. The Sigma just doesn't find her interesting or attractive. Sigmas are often very picky when it comes to women. They don't want to waste their time on someone they're not interested in. This doesn't mean that Sigmas are shallow. They just know what they want. And if a woman doesn't meet their standards, then they're not going to bother with her. They don't want to waste their time on someone they're not interested in. This doesn't mean that Sigmas are shallow, they just know what they want. And if a woman doesn't meet their standards, then they're not going to bother with her. Sigma man is often looking for a challenge. He wants an independent woman who stimulates him mentally and intellectually. He's not going to be interested in a woman who always tries to please him or agrees with everything. He wants a woman who is her own person and has her own opinions, a woman he can learn from, and not someone who is just going to try to impress him. Otherwise, he's just going to get bored and move on. Instead of forcing themselves to like her, they'd rather just ignore her and focus on something else. 9. They don't have time for pointless drama. The Sigma will not waste his time on a woman who is constantly creating drama. They're not interested in playing games or dealing with emotional manipulation. This isn't to say that they don't want a passionate partner with a strong personality, but they want someone who knows how to control their emotions. They want someone level-headed who can handle their own life, without always needing someone else to prop them up. So if she is always causing drama or constantly needy, the Sigma male will likely ignore her. While some people might see this as cold or heartless, the Sigma is simply being pragmatic. They know that getting involved with someone who is always causing drama is just going to be a headache. They would rather avoid the drama and focus on more positive things in their life. Many people see the Sigma male as being emotionally unavailable, but the reality is that they're just not interested in getting involved with someone who is going to add unnecessary stress to their life. Their indifference towards these types of women is simply a self-preservation mechanism.